Yo, ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking good for Russell Brand. 49-year-old comedian and media personality has been charged by the British police with multiple sexual offences, including rape, indecent assault, oral rape, and sexual assault. These charges involve allegations from 4 different women, with incidences reportedly occurring between 1999 and 2005. The charges follow a 2023 investigation by The Times and the Channel 4's dispatches, which brought these allegations to light. Now, Russell Brand has consistently denied all allegations, asserting that his past relationships were all consensual. In this video, we're going to be looking at some disturbing videos that could prove Russell Brand is totally finished. So let's check this out.
So it's happened. Russell Brand has actually now been charged. After all the people saying, where's the charges, where's the arrests, blah, blah, blah. It's now happened. These are all related to indecent assault, sexual assault, oral assault. I mean, the charges are actually to 4 separate women. They've given details of the various dates. There's one in 99 in Bournemouth, one in 2001 in London, another one in 2004 in London, and then 2004 again. This is
wow. So these are the times where Russell Brand was just literally buck wild. He was running around with P. Diddy around these times. Remember that?
Looking good for Brand. A lot of this has come about because of the Channel 4 documentary, but also the women who came forward after that, and also some of the ones during it. For somebody to be charged, actually, you need to have a lot of evidence.
A lot of evidence. When they charge you, it means they've got enough evidence to prosecute you. They've got enough evidence to send you to jail, or they believe so anyway. And as we do know, there are a number of cases where people are found not guilty. They can be guilty, but they're found not guilty. Or they're not guilty and they're found guilty. Usually in the UK, when the police do charge you, it's because they've got strong enough evidence to prove that you did that.
It can't just be hearsay. Now, I don't know what that evidence is. Of course, it's all going to come out in a trial, unless, of course, he decides to plead guilty, which something tells me he's not going to do that. I personally saw the documentary, and
I haven't seen the documentary, but we do have Russell Brand's reactions, so make sure you stick around, hit the like button so you don't miss out on that.
I'm with the victims on this one, all right? I don't always necessarily believe victims, but on this occasion, I just think the evidence, the stories, they were too similar from a group of women who had never, ever met before in their lives. The stories were just too similar for them not all to be talking about the same experience with the same man.
Katy Perry has reacted to Russell Brand officially being charged after it came out all over the press. Russell Brand was charged on April 4th, 2025, with several serious things following an investigation. These relate to allegations from 4 different women regarding incidents purported to have occurred between 1999 and 2005 in locations including Bournemouth and Westminster. In the midst of all of this, it seems like even Katy Perry has thrown shade on the whole thing. On April 4th, just hours after all of this came out in the press, Katy made a comment on Instagram which many people thought was about Russell. She made a comment underneath a quote which said, "The truth always comes out." In her comment underneath this quote, she said, "Always honey." Now, she could have been talking about anything or anyone, but because of the timing of this, everyone has come to the conclusion that it's likely about Russell, and it could be her way of letting everyone know she is not on his side in all of this. Fans online are speaking out on this. One fan said, "Absolutely awful if true. I used to find Russell Brand funny ages ago, but hearing about these charges going back so far, it just turns your stomach. How many people might have been hurt or ignored over the years?" Another fan said, "It's important to remember Russell has denied everything from the start, and the justice system needs to run its course fairly before everyone jumps to conclusions based on media reports and documentaries." And finally, one more fan said, "Whoa, this is wild. I grew up watching Russell's chaotic energy on stage, but these things are super serious. Not gonna lie, I'm conflicted. Let's wait for the trial though. Innocent until proven guilty still matters, right? Hope the truth comes out either way."
Based on the allegations that are being made, this is extremely serious for Russell. The years that the allegations are stemming from are the years where I remember Russell Brand just being really out there. I mean, for me, I wasn't too sure about Russell. I wasn't too sure if he was straight, if he was gay. His whole aura just seemed really weird and bizarre. The things he used to say, the way he used to come across, I mean, it was extremely wild. Of course, they say never judge a book by its cover, but it wasn't only his character and his personality and the things that he'd done on and off stage that made a number of people question him. There was a lot of conspiracies, a lot of things that were being said that were happening within the entertainment industry. I mean, those things are still being said up until this day. People say because he has turned a page and he associates himself with maybe different people, there's an elite group that are out here trying to target him. He's a very intelligent guy. His podcast and the things that he talks about on his podcast are really intriguing, really interesting. However, there are people online that are sharing their opinions about Russell Brand, about the situation, the allegations, the accusations, all of the claims that have been taking place since the early 2000s. Let's check this out.
Russell Brand has been charged with 2 counts of rape, 1 count of indecent assault, and 1 count of sexual assault. Now, this is huge. I used to work in the criminal justice system with cases just like this, and the criteria to bring something to prosecution, to charge someone, is really quite high and really quite hard to meet, because when it comes to sexual offences, it's usually just one word against the other, and they have to have enough evidence and enough weight in evidence to bring this forward and for it to be accepted by prosecution and to be charged. It gets even harder when it comes to historical offences, because one of the main pieces of evidence in these cases is DNA samples, right? DNA samples that are taken directly after the event, after the offence. And what you don't have in historical cases is DNA samples. So bringing a historical case of sexual assault to the police and them taking it and charging and taking it to prosecution means that there is enough evidence, that they've got enough there to push this through. So yeah, I'll be really interested to see how this plays out.
Now, this is Katherine Ryan. I believe she's a Canadian comedian. Some of you guys might be familiar with her. Now, she has spoken about Russell in the past, allegedly without saying his name because he is so wealthy. But let's hear what she's got to say.
Informed the employers that he was a predator, right?
I didn't inform employers. I informed him to his face that he was a predator.
When we say predator, what do you mean?
I mean, perpetrator of sexual assault. But it is very dangerous for us to have this conversation. I'm happy to have it.
Why?
But it is a litigious minefield. Every time these things are eventually proven, and you look at Bill Cosby and you look at Harvey Weinstein and you look at the unmentionable British personality.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knew.
I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist.
What we're going to do is we're going to get to his actual video in a minute, but I need you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if we are newly watching. And I need to know what you are thinking right now about this whole situation with Russell Brand. It's definitely disturbing. These are allegations that stem back all the way to the years of him rolling with P. Diddy and all of those psychotic dons over there in Hollywood.
The grand theatre of scandal and justice unfurls once more, and at its centre the wild-aired harlequin of hilarity, Russell Brand, about to be caught in the inexorable cogs of the justice system. For those of you who don't speak utter gibberish, Russell Brand is about to get fully Giselled. Just bear in mind for a moment how almost impossible it is for a woman who has been raped or sexually assaulted to get any semblance of justice. Most rapes are not reported. Of those that are reported, very few are investigated properly. And of those that are investigated properly, even fewer lead to charges. But this is Russell Brand's charge sheet. And it really puts into perspective the last few months of cosplay, of discovering Jesus and going off to America and cozying up to the very friendly American right. This is his rap sheet. In 1999, a woman was raped in the Bournemouth area. In 2001, a woman was indecently assaulted in the Westminster area of London. In 2004, a woman was already raped and sexually assaulted in the Westminster area of London. Between 2004 and 2005, a woman was sexually assaulted in the Westminster area of London. This is Russell Brand's real CV.
There's a couple of things that I want to say about this Russell Brand In Plain Sight Channel 4 Dispatches documentary. The first is, if you don't think that Russell Brand has been waiting for this day to arrive since Me Too started, you are beyond help, my friend. Of course he's known since Me Too started that there are women out there who have stuff on him, and that it's only a matter of time before they come forward and expose him for what he is. He's not an idiot. He has known that this day was coming, and so he's had the incentive over the last few years to cultivate a following of people who distrust the media, who think that the media are out to get Russell Brand, and that they'll do anything that they can to do that.
Wow. When she puts it like that, it seems that she is hitting nails on heads, and he is more or less just manipulating the way people think and feel. So when the ultimate day comes, wow. Now, again, I'm not backing all this up. I'm not saying this is fact, but again, this is perspective. And what this lady is saying right now, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely interesting.
And that's what he's been doing since Me Too started. That's the only way that he avoids being cancelled. That's the only way that this guy with a God complex stays relevant, is if he cultivates this following of people who will disbelieve anything the media put out about him because they don't trust the media. He has everything to gain from doing that. And that's exactly what he's done successfully. And the second thing that I want to say about this is, these women have come forward with their evidence and they've kept their identities hidden. And it's really easy to presume that the reason that they've kept their identities hidden is because they're afraid of Russell Brand. And I would not blame them for that. They have no doubt seen what happens to women who come forward and make accusations against men like Russell Brand. Their entire lives are ripped apart. These women could have families now. We know that at least one of them, Alice, who started a relationship with Brand when she was 16 and can see that now for what it was, grooming, is working in television. And we don't know in what capacity she's working in television. She could be behind the scenes, but she could also be a presenter. She could also be a celebrity. And if she was, and she revealed her identity, the public would 100% say that she was looking for attention, that she's making this up to make herself famous. That she's not telling the truth. She's just trying to ride off Russell Brand's popularity in order to seek fame for herself. So whilst it's easy to presume that these women did not expose their identities because they're afraid of Russell Brand, we should also consider that they might have done that so that the evidence stands on its own and nobody can accuse them of just wanting fame, notoriety, attention, money.
Smash.
They have
on, like, she is hitting nails on heads. Again, I'm not saying Russell Brand is guilty of doing anything, but the way she puts this, perspective she's given on this case right now is extremely compelling, extremely interesting, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with what she's saying, but that's not to say that Russell has done what they're claiming he's done. We have to wait for the court, the judge, have to wait for the authorities to deal with it the right way, which is exactly what they're going to be doing.
Nothing to gain. Absolutely nothing to gain from coming forward with their evidence. And still, we see the public wanting to believe this guy with the God complex, the one who has everything to lose and everything to gain in this scenario, over the multiple women with the same story and the evidence.
See, a number of people have their opinions and their feelings towards this, and I'm not backing Russell in any type of way, but what I am saying is innocent until proven guilty. We can speculate, we can share those opinions, but we have to just let the authorities do their job. But what we're going to do now is just take a closer look at Russell Brand's video. I want you guys to hit that like button once again and leave all your thoughts down below. Let's check this out.
Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that
I mean, this is really weird. It's really weird that he's diving into the political side of things when a serious allegation. I mean, serious allegations have been made. Off the back of listening to that last lady, if you take in what she says as gospel, right now, Russell is coming across very, very manipulative at this point.
Southport murders were handled. How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys.
He said general context.
When I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, we were just about a shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you.
I mean, he sounds extremely sincere when he says that. But to play devil's advocate at this point, we do know that he's a great performer. He's a great entertainer. As performers and as entertainers, it is not hard to come across a certain way in front of a camera. Now, this is not me saying that he is deceiving a bunch of people or what he's saying in this camera is deceitful or he's lying or anything like that. But I just want to pull it out there, playing devil's advocate, that being an entertainer, being a performer, being an actor, being all of these things will give you everything you need to sit in front of that camera and tell a lie as if it is the actual truth and sell it to the public like it's the truth.
For your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free, and we will be continuing to discuss this matter.
Okay, so that's what Russell Brand had to say more or less on the situation. I think there's a few other videos. If I get my hands on them, I will do more reactions to those videos as well. But I need to know exactly what you guys are thinking right now. Leave all your comments down below in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you are newly watching. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and we much appreciate every single one of you guys. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe to this channel if we are new. Turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on future videos, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.